Hey everybody, it's been a minute since I used this channel or either of my channels. I will get into more reasons surrounding my break probably at some point in the future, but in the meantime I thought I would share a quick little vlog with you. Now that I've moved into my new flat in Leeds, I'm super excited about it. Hopefully I'll be able to do some more content both in here and at our brand new desk out in our living area. I decided at the very last minute to jump in on the Reading Rush 2020. This is a challenge where you have 7 challenges and you're supposed to read 7 books within the course of a week. This year's Reading Rush goes from July 20th to 26th. So that would be tomorrow as I'm filming this up through next Sunday. What I've done for my TBR, which I'm going to show you in a minute, I've come up with one book each that fits a certain criteria, but a lot of them fit both of them. If I find myself in a bit of a panic trying to finish, then something can count for something else. So I have my priorities and my quote-unquote extras. And I would like to share them with you. Full disclosure, some of these are mine that I haven't read yet, and some of these belong to my husband, and that's helped with a couple of categories that we're going to talk about today. So let's get started, shall we? By the way, all of the Reading Rush information, including the website, all the challenges, all of that stuff, that'll be in the description down below. If you want to follow me on the Reading Rush forums, my name is HelenGDubs. Let's get started. The first challenge laid out in the Reading Rush this year is to read a book the same color as your birthstone. So I was born in May, so my birthstone is emerald, so I've taken that to mean anything with a green cover. The book I've chosen for that is the Finn Family Moomin Trail by Tove Jansson, I believe. I've never been super into the Moomins. It just never really popped off in America until quite recently, I think. But this is one of my husband's books that I decided to take from his shelf. It's nice and short and a big font, which we appreciate when we're trying to read quickly. But I haven't read anything necessarily children related in a while, so I'm excited to go for this. So again, this fits the birthstone reading challenge for this year. The next reading challenge is to read a book that begins with the word the. So there's a lot of possibilities out there, and again, when I was scanning my bookshelf to figure out what to read, The Memory of Fire by Callie Bates jumped out at me. Now this is a book I actually bought over a year ago, and this is a sequel to her fantasy novel The Waking Land, which I really enjoyed. I got it as part of a publisher's symposium that was held at the bookstore I used to work at, and I got the first one for free. I really loved it, and when I found out there was a sequel, I looked everywhere in the UK to see if I could find it, and luckily I did, funny enough, in York. But this has been on my TBR for a while. I've tried to start it, but I've just been busy with life and things, but now I have an excuse to. So that would be The Memory of Fire by Callie Bates, and that is going to fit the challenge. The third challenge to complete is to read a book that has been adapted into a movie that you've seen. Now, with the books that I already have, between me and my husband, I was struggling to find a book that I hadn't read for a movie I had seen. So I could have cheated a little bit and read Crazy Rich Asians again, but I was trying to think of things that I'd seen recently in the cinema. And one thing that came to mind as I was searching my husband and I's bookshelf, I have the complete novels of Jane Austen, which I think I convinced my husband to buy. So I've read a lot of these and seen a lot of these movies, but there is a film that I have seen recently and a book that I have not read, and that would be the 2020 version of Emma. I never really wanted to read Emma because I'm not a huge fan of the Gwyneth Paltrow version of the film from the 90s. I recently saw the 2020 version of Emma starring Anya Taylor-Joy, which I really, really loved. Don't be alarmed, this is the complete works of Jane Austen. This is big, but Emma actually comprises, I think, around 300 pages of it, so it's actually that bit right there. So this is actually one of my priority books because if you look at the cover, It also contains aspects of green. Also, by the way, the 2005 version of Pride and Prejudice is one of my favorites. I own the soundtrack, but it does have green on it, so this could also fill the birthstone one. So this is a priority one for me. So the fourth challenge was a bit of an interesting one because it is the first book challenge. It's the first book you touch. So I wasn't sure how I was going to do this. So once I decided to do this challenge today, I decided to go with the first book I touched today, Sunday, the 19th of July. And the first book I touched today was, of course, Victoria, A Life by A.N. Wilson. I just picked this up at Waterstones a couple days ago. I've seen a couple episodes of the ITV Victoria series starring Jenna Coleman, which I really enjoyed, and I actually got to meet the showrunner of that, Daisy Goodwin. She's wonderful. But as you can see, I've already read a tiny sliver of it, like not even 30 pages out of a 642 page book. So I'm going to go ahead and count this as my first, quote unquote, first book I touched challenge, because it's the first book I touched today after deciding to do the reading rush. So there's that. Super excited to do that. It also might count as the adaptation because it's a TV series. The fifth challenge for the reading rush this year is to read a book outside. Now, of course, these rules came down before the pandemic hit, when a lot of us have to be inside. But I'm actually going to use this opportunity to try to explore a little bit more of Leeds. But there's so many parks, and the river is also quite nearby. So I might be able to find a nice outside spot to read and get to know the area a little bit better. And the book I've chosen for this challenge is yet another gift from my husband. Well, I wouldn't say gift, but it is on his bookshelf, and that would be the screenplay for The Grand Budapest Hotel by Wes Anderson. Now, screenplays, they can go by quite quickly, and I really enjoyed Grand Budapest Hotel, so I think I'll be able to go through this fairly quickly and do this within an afternoon. But yeah, I'd love to just go find a park somewhere with a mask, always wear your masks and socially distance, and just read that in the course of the afternoon. That might be cool. The sixth reading challenge this year is to read a genre that you're not familiar with, or your least read genre for short. Now, there's a few genres that I kind of have stayed away from over the years. I haven't really read much sci-fi per se, but one thing that I definitely haven't really picked up outside of required reading from college is graphic novels / comic books. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read one of the Marvel comics for the first time, one of the actual Marvel comics. This is again courtesy of my husband. Thank you, Tim. I'm going to read X-Men Season 1 by Dennis Hopeless and Jamie McKelvey. No idea what story is going to be in this one. Sorry, it's a graphic novel. So yeah, I'm excited to read this. I'm not familiar with everyone's version of events from the comics, but I'm excited to gain a little bit of new insight. So as I mentioned, this is the sixth reading challenge, least read genre, superhero comics for me, an X-Men one, and who knows, I might read this outside too if I'm feeling a bit desperate so I can cover another category. We'll see. The seventh reading challenge this year is to read a book that takes place on a different continent than where you live. There's two different things I could have done here. As you know, I'm originally from the States. I currently live in England, so I could have made this harder on myself and tried to read a book that was from neither. But as I didn't really want to buy a new book to kind of fit this regime, nor did I really want to reread something that I already read, I decided to only exclude Europe from this. And that is why I have chosen Rise of the Rocket Girls by Natalia Holt. It is the women who propelled us from missiles to the moon to Mars. This is one that I've really wanted to read ever since I saw Hidden Figures. I know that this isn't the book that Hidden Figures is based on. It opened up a whole new kind of conversation for me because yeah, when you hear about like the moon landings in like the 60s, you only ever hear the men's stories. So yeah, I'm super excited to read this. It was always on the bookshelf when I worked in a bookstore and I just never got the opportunity to get it. There were other things that were higher up on my tier list. But yeah, so this is going to fulfill the book that takes place on a different continent than where you live. As you might have already been able to tell, there are a few books that meet multiple guidelines for this. As I mentioned, the least used genre, my X-Men, is probably going to substitute for being an outside book. And then of course, which is an adaptation and also as a birthstone color. Of these 7, the Moomin book and the Grand Budapest Hotel are more or less going to be extras, and I'm going to aim to read the other 5. I have time this week to do it. As we're kind of moving in and transitioning to living in Leeds, I think this is going to be a good way for me to get a little bit of focus. As I mentioned, yes, I've moved. More content is going to be coming soon. Maybe a little bit of side vlogs on this channel, but I think I'm going to try and mostly focus on doing some more women in film reviews on my main channel, Film Geek 520. Both of my YouTube channels have been quite silent for about 6 months. My blog has also been quite silent, but I am trying to work on getting content out there for you guys, and hopefully I can get some brand new and updated content that is different from anything I've ever done out there for you guys too. I'm super excited for this next chapter, and I cannot wait to experience with you, and I think this reading rush is going to be a great way to begin it. That's where I'm going to end this video. Make sure that if you like this video, you give it a big thumbs up. You can comment below what are the books that you are doing for the reading rush this year. You can subscribe here on my second channel and on my main channel so you can get notified when I make new content, when I make it, but I'm super excited to share it with you. You can follow me on Twitter at HelenMarie95 and on my Instagram at HelenMarie_95. It is private, so you will need to send a follow request, unfortunately. And yeah, I think that's all I have to plug for you guys. So thank you guys so much. I really look forward to making brand new content for you guys. I have so many ideas and I'm super excited. So as always, remember to keep living awesome lives, and I will see you hopefully very soon. Bye guys.